Vayigash Elov Yehudah. Yehudah steps forward to Yosef to give the speech of his life. Everything depended on it. His own future, the future of Binyamin, of Yaakov, of the unity of the Bnei Yaakov, the future of Klal Yisrael. Everything depended on this moment. And Yehudah steps forward and makes a speech which has so many different, very interesting layers and meanings to it. On the one hand, it seems to be a plea. He's pleading. He's also engaging in what Chazal call pius, appeasement. He's saying, look, I can give you a better deal than Binyamin as a slave. Take me as a slave. And at the same time, if we look at Rashi says that there was another dimension to this speech, which was what is sometimes called an iron fist in a velvet glove. In other words, on the face of it, it was very submissive, calling himself Avdecha and calling Yosef Adoni and begging him. On the other hand, there was a hidden threat behind it. If you don't do what I want, we will go to war with you, and I'm your equal. In fact, interestingly, the Balaturim says on the first three words, Vayigash Elov Yehudah, that Sofei Tevus, the last letter of these three words is Shin Vav Hey, which is Shoveh. Shoveh, he says, means I'm equal to you. You're a king, and I'm a king. And I can take you on, and Kikomocha Kafara, says Rashi, like I can get rid of Pharaoh, I can get rid of you. So there is a lot going on here in this speech, and this is the mega confrontation between Yosef and Yehudah, which starts in this totally confrontational way, but actually ends in total reconciliation and ultimately a reunion, not just of Yaakov and not just of Yosef and Yehudah, but of the whole family. And this is a remarkable turnaround in the history of Bnei Yaakov and in the future of the Jewish people, and it has so much to be said about it. In fact, in Tehillim Memches, which is the Shir Mizmor of Yom Sheni, of Monday, Shir Mizmor Livnei Korach, Gadol Hashem Olam Od, Yifei Nof Mesos Kol HaOretz. The topic of the Mizmor is actually Yerushalayim, but in it says, Hine Hamlochim Yachtov. The Malachim came together, the Malachim no adu, Ovru Yachtov, that's the pasuk. Hine Hamlochim no adu Ovru Yachtov. The kings came together and Ovru Yachtov. Ovru comes from the word Evrov Azam. They were angry with each other. And the kings clashed, says the Medrash Rabbah. What is this referring to? The two kings are Yosef and Yehudah. And they clashed with each other, and sparks were flying. And everybody was nivhalu, nechbozer, everybody was in shock. Everybody knew that the whole future depended on the outcome of this clash. And this is a most remarkable moment that I want to have a look at in a very, very, very interesting dimensions to it. So I'd like to also mention that on a more mystical level, the Zohar says that there is hidden here an idea which came out in the halacha, which affects us on a daily basis. There is a halacha in Gemara, in Brachas Daf Daled, which says, Ezu ben olam haba. Who is somebody who is a ben olam haba? Hasomech geula letfilah. Extraordinary thing. Hasomech geula letfilah, says the Zohar. This is Vayigash Elov Yehudah. This is the connection here at the beginning of the parsha. What's that got to do with anything at all? This gives us a very, very interesting, in-depth perspective on what's going on here. Something extraordinary. What does it mean, Somech Geula L'Tfilah? It means when we get up in the morning to daven Shacharis, we've got two actually separate mitzvahs completely, which we combine into one. What are the two separate mitzvahs? There is Hilchos Kriyas Shema. There's a separate mitzvah of Kriyas Shema, B'shach B'chov Kumecha, to say the words of the Kriyas Shema, the three parshas of Kriyas Shema. And then there's another mitzvah completely, which is the mitzvah of Tfilah. Right, there is a mitzvah of Tfilah. And in actual fact, if we look in the Rambam, Shulchan Aruch, there's Hilchos Kriyas Shema and Hilchos Tfilah. We could do them completely separately. And yet, this Gemara says, no, we have to merge them together. You're not allowed to interrupt for anything, not even for an Amen, between Goal Yisrael and Hashem Sfasai Tiftach. Why not? Because the two have to come together and be unified as one. Says the Zohar, what is the Kriya Shema and the Tefillah? This is Yosef and Yehudah. Now this is an extraordinary thing. How do we understand this? And if you look at the Shebi Shmuel, other Sfasemes, they understand this Zohar in a very beautiful way. And that is that Yosef represents the genius of Klal Yisrael. The way that Klal Yisrael have a way of thinking and a mindset which is of a particularly amazing quality, that is the moyach of Klal Yisrael. And we see already from the very, very beginning in Vayigash, when it says that the Yisrael Ohab as Yosef keben zekunim hulo, keben zekunim, we think ben zekunim means he was his youngest child. But in actual fact, he wasn't the youngest child. Binyamin was the youngest child. And anyhow, there wasn't much age difference between the boys anyway. So what does Ben Zekunim mean? So Rashi brings down the Unclus, Bar Hakim, that actually Ben Zekunim means he had the Chochmah. And generally in the Chumash, the word Zokain doesn't usually mean old. It means a Talmud Chacham, right? That it is V'hodarto Pnei Zokain is got to do with giving cover to Talmidei Chachamim even if they're youngsters. So Ben Zekunim, Yosef was from the very beginning. Yaakov saw that he had a remarkable ability of Chachma. He was the pinnacle of the Chachma of Klal Yisrael, and even though initially in his life he behaved in an immature way, later on he gained unbelievable wisdom on all sorts of different levels. And we see him even with Beis Potiphar. He's an Ish Matzliach. He knows how to manage Beis Potiphar perfectly. Even when he's in the prison, he hasn't got just administrative wisdom. He has the wisdom to understand and the sensitivity to see the Saramashkim and Saraophim that they need help and to interpret their dreams. And then when he goes to Paro, he not only has the Chochmah to interpret the dreams, he has the Chochmah to come up with a master plan for the whole country, an economic plan, how to survive the famine. And then according to Chazal, he had a whole new innovation about how to store food for 7 years. Most people tried to do it and it went rotten. He knew how to store it, a chemical of some sort. He was an innovator and a man of absolute brilliance. He was the moyach of Klal Yisrael. Whereas Yehudah represents the Leiv of Klal Yisrael. Yehudah is the Aryeh Leiv, the lion's heart of Klal Yisrael. The Leiv represents the passion, the Ahava, the Yiras Shamayim, the commitment, the relationship. Yehudah is the Leiv. The Moyach and the Leiv, which, if you like, in modern terminology, corresponds to what we understand today to be the right-hand side of the brain or the left-hand side of the brain, but that's not my topic for the moment. I'll call upon him. What we have here is, says the Zohar, that the saying of Kriya Shema is not a tefillah at all. We're not asking for anything. We're just saying the words of the Torah, and we are committing ourselves. Right? It's a statement of our belief in Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and in the mitzvah of Talmud Torah and the words of the Torah and the wisdom of the Torah. We are absorbing and we're saying that the words of the Torah are emes, v'yatziv, v'nocha, v'kayim, v'yosha. This is all about the moyach. This is the moyach. This is the mind of Klal Yisrael. When it comes to tefillah, we've got a different goal. The tefillah is the bakasha standing before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and this is called, the Gemara in Tainis Daf Beis says, what is avodah shebelev? Have a tefillah. Tefillah is defined as avodah shebelev. It's not avodah b'moyach. It's in the leiv. It has to come from the heart. It has to have kavanas halev. Yehudah had the leiv. Yosef had the moyach. And when they came together, that was the amazing fusion, if you like, of these two powers, which remained at the core of Klal Yisrael for all future generations, but they needed to come together. And this was the amazing moment of Vayigash Elov Yehudah, where they found a solution to come together. But what was the solution? What was the game changer in this whole moment? So Yosef had master planned this entire event. and he hadn't informed his father that he was alive, even though he should have. For 9 years, he already had a powerful position in Mitzrayim. He could easily have sent a man on a horse saying to his father he's still alive, but no, he knew that he had a job to do. The Ramban says he was driven by his dreams, but in actual fact, if you look in the Abarbanel and Shimshon Rafal Hirsch, they say that he understood he had to unite the family. The goal wasn't just to relieve his father from being upset. He had to unite the family, he had to bring the brothers to a situation where they would do tshuva for having sold him and realize that the unity of the brothers was paramount. So he had this master plan, which was a genius. He accused them of being spies, and then took Shimon, and then demanded Binyamin, and then framed Binyamin, and now we're at the moment. But what's going to change? What is going to be the ingredient that makes sure that the moyach and the leiv come together? How are we going to bring them together? What is that moment? What is it that Yehudah says in this speech that presses the button in Yosef, that he suddenly realizes this is the moment, we've reached the goal? What is that? And that is very simple. Yehudah says, "V'oni aravti es hanahar." I have made myself an orev. I've made myself into a guarantor. I've promised my father that I will lay my life down rather than let go of Binyamin. Never again am I going to let Binyamin go. And that was really as soon as Yosef heard that was it. He couldn't hold back anymore, because he'd wanted all the time to reunite with his brothers, but he knew his moyach had told him we can only reunite when they've done tshuva. Right? And now he saw that Yehudah has done tshuva because he became an orev. And that arevus, that link, became a kesheshel kayama, a tremendous, unbreakable bond between Yehudah and Binyamin, which lasted l'dorei doros, and until later on in history, in the Bais Rishon, when the 10 tribes are captured by Ashur, who is left? Yehudah, Binyamin, because they're working together. And when the base of Mikdash is built, when the Har Habayis, says the Gemara, the Har Habayis is built half on Yehudah and half on Binyamin, just on that border to unite Yehudah and Binyamin at that moment. And that's why this Pasuk appears in Tehillim Mem Ches, which is about Yerushalayim. That on the Har Habayis we have this tremendous koyach of Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh Lo Zeh, which was invented by Yehudah in Parshas Vayigash in order to unite Klal Yisrael, that this speech of his will remain forevermore the secret of Klal Yisrael, bringing together the tremendous power of the Moyach with the power of the Leiv. The Leiv here means the responsibility for each other, the care for each other, and the relationship that Yehudah Binyamin developed between each other. And that is indeed the special koyach that Klal Yisrael have in our generation as well. And Yehi Rotzen that he should bring for us only a Geula, the Yeshua, for Klal Yisrael, for all generations. Amen.